Hello, ma'am. Nandini, ma'am.
Hello, Dwarka ma'am. How are you?
I'm good, ma'am. How are you?
Good, good.
Only one has come now. 4 o'clock, na? It is now.
Good afternoon.
Yaksh, your email ID is not registered.
No, ma'am.
Which email ID we have to register? You tell me. Because every time we have to admit, na, otherwise.
Oh, yes, ma'am. There is one Trivedi.yaksh1.
Sorry?
Trivedi.yaksh1.
I'll check. Trivedi.yaksh. Okay. मैम आप कुछ बोल रहे थे नंदिनी मैम?
No, nothing else.
Nothing, na? Okay.
Yaksh, did you miss the last session?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you gone through what was done?
No, ma'am.
No. So you missed a very important session. Try to go through what was done and do the task that we had done in class. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Kesar, Sahas, Varshini.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Everyone can please have your videos on. Varshini, I hope you're not traveling today. No, ma'am.
Can I turn off my camera after 10 minutes? I will return home in 10 minutes.
Okay. So any one of you been practicing? I haven't received anything from anyone except I think a couple of responses from Varshini. No one's been practicing? How come you're all still mute? Stars?
Yes, ma'am.
No practice?
Ma'am, I have recorded, but I haven't sent you.
Please send them to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? You know my contact number?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah? It's in the group. And if you, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. There's no reason why you won't find it. So anyone has done task 2 that we discussed last time? No? Good afternoon, Manya.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
What's up with you, Manya? Yes, Manya?
Yes, ma'am.
What's up with you? You haven't been attending regularly.
Ma'am, I was not in the last class.
Even before that, you missed quite a few. Are you serious about the TOEFL this time? Or you want to appear for it later sometime?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, there was ma'am, I was in a class that day.
So if you missed it, because remember, this is for everyone. The TOEFL sessions, we will be doing just one session per task. And we don't have time to repeat anything. We already have taken quite a bit of time for the initial task. And if the course gets over, you are at a loss. So please make sure you attend each and every class. So anyone who has done task 2 of speaking, the 2 questions that we did in class, that we discussed in class, anyone tried recording? No? None of you. If you're not serious about your practice, then you're going to be at a loss. Because later on you won't have time so that you will send me, I will give you feedback and then you will improve. It has to be there from the very beginning. Yash,
Yes, ma'am.
any progress on the independent speaking task?
No, ma'am.
No, nothing done.
What,
No.
ma'am?
Nothing done on the independent speaking task either.
Ma'am, I have practiced, ma'am.
So have you recorded?
I have recorded. I will send you by Friday some more questions.
You can send me as and when you do. Even if you do 2 tasks, send them to me immediately.
Okay, ma'am.
Right? Instead of sending me 5 of them together or 7 of them together, you send me 2 tasks. I will be able to tell you where to improve. You can implement that in the next 2 tasks that you do. Right? So don't keep it till the end of the week. If you record, you can send it to me immediately. Ayan, how about you?
No, ma'am, I didn't practice. I was mainly focusing on the last independent speaking because that I was very bad with. So I
Yeah.
improved in that, but the
So you haven't sent
this-
me anything as yet.
no, ma'am, I haven't. I haven't reached a level which is like good enough to send.
No,
I'll
it doesn't
practice.
matter. Even if you haven't reached a level that is good enough, it is absolutely okay.
Okay, ma'am. I will
So
practice a few times and I'll
at least
send.
I can point out where you are going wrong and where you need to improve.
Yes. Okay, ma'am.
Nidini,
Ma'am, I was absent for last 2 classes, so I didn't do
Yeah.
it.
So have you been able to go through what you missed?
Yeah, ma'am, I'm watching the recorded lecture.
So are you able to follow or do you need help?
I finished doing reading, but I've not yet started with speaking and listening.
You haven't started with speaking. So that is the most difficult part of the field.
Yeah, ma'am, actually, I wasn't able to find your recorded lecture, so I was going to contact UT for that.
Okay, you get in touch with Sujit ma'am
Okay,
or Harsha ma'am.
okay.
You have the central number.
Yeah, ma'am, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'll
you just
contact.
get in touch and make sure you go through the recording before the end of the course.
Okay,
So if you have any doubts, you know what you don't understand and we can look into it.
okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so. Yes, Pari,
Yes,
What-
ma'am. Ma'am, I
what's
was
up with
absent
you?
last class, ma'am.
yeah, you were absent last time, that's why I'm asking you.
Yes, ma'am. I actually had a test in school, so
Okay,
that's why I didn't. Ma'am, could you just give a brief of what you did? I'll revise it.
we have done speaking task number 2.
Okay, ma'am. I'll just go through that
Hmm.
and send you my recordings.
And what about the independent speaking task? Have you been practicing?
Yes, ma'am. I've practiced some. I'll send them to you after the class, whenever possible.
Okay, then we will continue with our class today. Now, last time we did speaking task number 2. Can somebody tell me what is speaking task number 2? Charul? Charul, are you there?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are somehow. Are you having a problem with your network?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, you can at least answer me with your video off. What was speaking task number 2?
Ma'am, it was reading plus listening.
Okay, reading plus listening. What type of
Interpreted.
reading plus listening? Yes, sorry, I can get you. Yes, Charul, can you repeat?
Ma'am, integrated.
Yes, it is integrated. But what was it about? Was it academic? Was it campus situation? Was it conversation or lecture? No idea. Anybody who's clear about? Yes, Charul, can you tell me?
Ma'am, it was campus situation.
Campus situation. So, okay, somebody else will tell me. Sahar? It was
Yes,
a campus situation. So what did we have in task number 2? What did we read?
ma'am, we got an announcement,
Hmm.
announcement which we had to read, and then would have to listen to a passage, and then we have to speak.
Was it
I
a
mean, summarize.
passage or conversation? What was it?
Ma'am, what?
Was it a passage or conversation?
Ma'am, the reading task.
No, what did you listen to?
Ma'am, a conversation.
Conversation. And what were you supposed to do with the conversation?
Ma'am, we were supposed to summarize the speaker's opinion.
Yeah. And what were the what was the structure of the passage? Who will tell me? Kesar,
Yes, ma'am.
what was the structure of the reading paragraph that was there in task number 2?
Ma'am, it was topic,
Hmm,
points,
hmm,
reason, point
Hmm.
number 2, reason,
Yeah,
and summary.
right. And what was the structure of the conversation, Varshini?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the structure of the conversation?
It was two people talking,
Hmm.
and then mostly it's one agreeing or disagreeing and the other arguing for the same.
Supporting the conversation, right?
Yes.
So it is either agree or disagree with the points or the proposal or announcement and discussing the reasons given in the passage, right? So that is clear. So no matter what what you get in task number 2, the structure remains the same. And when you are responding, what is the structure of your answer? Who will tell me? No volunteers to tell me. Everyone has their videos off. What's the matter? Ayan, Manya, Nidini, Pari, everybody has videos off.
Ma'am, I'm turning it on like 5 minutes. There's some issue on my side.
Okay. So what is the structure? Who will tell me what is the structure of your answer? Who can tell me?
Ma'am, it is like introduction about the announcement,
Right.
then whether the students agree or disagree, and why they agree or disagree, reason number 1, 2, and the conclusion.
Very good. So you have to remember that, and you have to remember to use a template so it becomes easier for you to speak. Right? Okay, now today we'll move on to integrated task 3. Now, when we talk about integrated task 3, what do you have to remember? You are reading a short passage. You are listening to a short lecture on the same passage, and then you are speaking, right? So it is usually a specific topic with two introduction of a topic, maybe with two specific areas of the topic, details of the topic. And then when you are listening to the lecture will be explaining the same topic with the help of examples. Yeah. So when you are listening to the lecture, here again, you have to take down the notes from the reading. It will not appear again. The lecture will not be repeated for you. So again, you need a format for your notes taking, which will help you to correlate the points that have been raised or that have been mentioned in the passage and the points that have been mentioned in the lecture, right? So the notes taking format will be very similar. Now, when we are talking about this task, it is as TOEFL says, from general to specific. So a topic is introduced, a general idea of the topic is given to you. When you get to the lecture deals with it in a specific manner, that is with specific examples to explain the 2 points in the passage, right? So that is the format you have to remember. So the reading passage will be about 75 to 100 words. You will get about again 45 to 50 seconds to read, in which time you will be taking down your notes. The lecture will be around 60 to 90 seconds, maximum 90 seconds, maybe about 60 seconds. And then your question that you will get, you will be expected to combine the information from the reading passage and the information from the lecture to give your answer. Here, one thing you have to remember, the focus will be on the lecture, right? So this is your format. You get 30 seconds to prepare, 60 seconds to respond. All speaking integrated tasks, 60 seconds to respond, right? The preparation time for the read, listen, speak tasks are all 30 seconds. Okay, now if we talk about the topics of the reading that you are getting, or the reading and lecture, it could be anything ranging from life sciences, social sciences, it could be science, natural science, anthropology, history, anything for that matter, right? And you have to take down important points. Now, prior knowledge of any of the topics is not required because you are not expected to put in your knowledge into it or your opinion into it. So you just have to take down the notes of the important information that has been given to you, and your answer will be based on only that information, right? Yes, good afternoon, Seller. Did you have class? Did you have another lecture before you came in? Yes, Seller. What happened? Seller, please take care of your audio. Make sure your audio is working before you join the class. You're more than 15 minutes late. Okay, so let's continue. There will be people coming in. Okay, we have refined details which we talk about, examples and analogies in the lecture, right? So the topic would be discussed in a little more detail. Examples will be given to explain or analogies to something else. Then the application of the concept could also be there, right? And you integrate your information. Now getting the important information down is crucial in all these stuff, right? And the passage and audio clip will not be accessible after it disappears. So now notes taking format very similar to task number 2. From the passage, you take down the topic, there's a concept. Usually here we will have a definition coming. What is the concept? Yeah, a short explanation of the concept. Then there will be point number 1, an explanation to it. Point number 2, explanation to it. Right? From the lecture, since it is talking about the same concept, it may repeat what the concept is or just continue to explain the concept with the help of examples. So point number 1, there will be examples related to point number 1 and some details, examples and details related to point number 2. So if you follow a notes format where you have 2 columns, on one side you put down the points from the passage, other side the points from the lecture. It becomes easier for you to correlate the points when you are speaking. You don't have to go up and down searching to your page, right? So this is your format for taking down notes. Please write it down so that you can use it when you are. And remember, just as in task number 2 we saw, you will get a little time while they are reading out all the instructions to you. So that is the time where you quickly are ready with the format to take down your notes, right? So that when the reading passage comes up, you can just put down what is the concept, what is a short definition, what is point number 1, any explanation given, what is point number 2, any explanation given, right? And once you know point number 1, and now it may sometimes happen that the lecture may begin with point number 2 and then move on to point number 1. Maybe you've written the details of point number 2 in the beginning. So it doesn't matter. Were you people able to hear me clearly? Okay, just now maybe it may happen that point number 2 is discussed first. So you've written down point 2 here. Just make an arrow so that you know exactly that this relates to this point in the passage, right? So no matter what happens, you know which point it is talking about. So this is the format, and this is very crucial so that you can structure your answer properly. So now after we've got our structure, we need a template, right? So this is more or less the template. Now we know what the task is, and the question will usually be explain how the lecture uses examples to explain the topic in the passage, or they may even mention the topic for you. So what is the focus here? Your focus is on the lecture not on the passage, though you will be summarizing the passage in the beginning, but don't use half the time to talk about the passage. Just about less than 10 seconds you will be devoting to the passage. And then rest of the time will be going to the lecture, because you will be discussing the points given in the passage with the help of the lecture, right? So introduce the main point of the passage and lecture as well as specific term or concept. So this is important. If you don't get the term or concept that has been discussed, then you will be missing out important information. So the term or concept, how it has been explained in the passage, and then so the very first sentence could be like, the passage discusses X, that is whatever the topic is, and how, say, maybe to and discuss it with the help of 2 points. You can mention the points, or the main focus of the passage is, so the topic or the definition, or maybe the definition or topic, whatever is it, comes up. Or both the passage and the lecture discuss, or according to the lecture, you can begin with the lecture, but it is easier to begin with the passage. So the passage introduces the concept of, that is the most appropriate, if I say. If you use that, then you can move on to the lecturer. Lecturer explains the concept with the help of examples, right? So you can use the introduction to tell what the passage is about, and the concept, and maybe if the 2 parts are given to you, the two particular points in the concept, but in brief, very brief, right? Next, what do? We come to the lecture. Sorry. Now, from the lecture, you have to have all the details, as detailed as possible. Yeah. The examples that are given in the lecture should be there in your notes, because here is where you need them. So in the lecture, the professor defines dash as. So X, we were talking about X, here also X will come up. So any other explanation over here? Or maybe if the professor doesn't define it again, the professor explains or elaborates on the concept or the term and explaining that. So then we can move on to the 2 explanations. So usually if you find that no introduction has been given by the lecturer, you can just go on to point number 1. So explains the point raised in the passage with the help of example, that also will be good. Or if you don't remember anything else in the template, first off, the professor talks about, right? Or professor uses the example of dash to explain. So the topic will come in over here, right? So the different ways in which you can begin, you have to think of any one. So remember, just 2 varied types of templates. So maybe in the lecture, the professor defines dash, or the professor elaborates on the concept or term, explaining that. These 2 will suffice. If the definition is given by the lecturer, you use the first one. If just explanation is given, you use the second one. Right? Everyone got down the template? Okay. Let's move on to the next point. Now, a second point may be introduced. Yeah. So remember, if there are 2 points raised in the passage, then these 2 points will be explained with the help of examples, right? So in the first point you can explain. Now you come to the second point. Here you can say next the professor discusses dash, or next the professor explains that, or the professor uses a second example dash to explain, right? So the first example, if they are clear examples, then you say the professor uses examples. If they are just explanations, the professor also explains. So you will either have explanations or examples, and they will be clear. First point of the professor, second point of the professor, right? And conclusion is optional again. If you have time, you conclude, otherwise do not. Okay. So introduction will be the topic in the passage. Next, how the professor explains the first point, or the first example that the professor uses to explain the concept. You can name the concept is this, and then you explain, then you give the explanation that the professor gives. Now here you can use what the professor is saying, like the professor says that, right? Or you can say the explanation shows that, or the example explains the concept of. So depending upon whatever is most convenient for you, you can use that. And if you have time enough to conclude, say more than 5 seconds, if you are left with, then so this is how the professor describes. So here the concept will come in. Yeah. Or if there's a meaning, explain meaning of what. Okay. Everyone got this down? Okay, let's move on. So what is this? Now to sum up the strategy, first thing you do is define the term or concept, right? Then, so you are not waiting till the end to define. In the first 2 sentences or 1 sentence will be defining the point. And then followed by how the professor explains the concept, right? Examples from the lecture. If the lecture gives 3 examples, your answer should have 3 examples. If the lecture gives 2 examples, your answer should have 2 examples, right? Now, what is your prompt? The question or the prompt that is given to you will ask you to discuss how the lecture illustrates a particular academic concept. So the concept that has been given in your passage, how the lecturer explains the concept, you have to explain that. So what do you need? You need your examples from the lecture and your points from the passage. Now you don't have to spend too much time on the passage. What is important is getting all the points from the lecture, right? That is more important. Got it? Okay. So now just a recap of the template. If I were to use a particular template, the reading is about the term of or concept. So this is short, concise. It is concise and clear. It states that. So you explain the concept. It states that, maybe point number 1, point number 2. Then you go on to the lecture. The professor elaborates on this by providing, if it is 1 example or 2 examples. Usually it will be 2 examples. Or the professor illustrates. Now, you don't just say the professor gives 2 examples to explain. If you use better vocabulary, the chances are that it impresses the examiner a little more. Yeah. So elaborates or illustrates. Then you go on to the first example. To begin with, she mentions that. Yeah. Or in the first example, she explains that, he or she. Then you come to the second example. Next, he or she says that, or in the second example, she illustrates the point with, or she illustrates the point with the help of another example. Or the second example she brings out is anything that we tell you. So this is mainly what I put down. Would make it easy to stick to one format. So your response structure, again, we have to be very sure what a response structure is. Introduce the topic, elaborate on the topic. First example, details about the example. Second example, details about the example. Conclusion, if you have time. So the first 10 seconds is about the reading. Yeah. So about next 10 to 12 seconds will be about the first example. Again, 10 to 12 seconds about the second example. If you have enough time left, if you're finishing up early enough, if you have, say, about 7 seconds left, you can give a conclusion. Otherwise, conclusion is not required. Okay. So this is very important. What are you expected to do? Remember a structure, follow the structure, right? Introduce the reading topic, elaborate on the topic. First example, details of the first example. Second example, details or explanations regarding the second example. Conclusion, if you have time, not really required. So if you're talking about the conclusion, this is not mandatory. No one is going to tell you you didn't have a conclusion. But this is important. Yeah. If you don't have these points properly elaborated, then you will not get the score of 4. Right? Yes, Celeb, did you follow? All points taken down? Okay. Now let's move on to a task. Let's see if we can implement what we just learned. So now all the directions will be given to you. You will now read a short passage and listen to a talk on the same topic. You will then be asked a question about them. After you hear the question, give yourself 30 seconds to prepare your response. Then record yourself speaking for 60 seconds. Now, when all this is being read out to you, what are you doing? Nidini, what are you expected to do?
We'll give ourselves 30 seconds to prepare for the response.
No, I asked you, what are you going to do when all this is being read out to you? Yes, Nidini?
Take notes.
Write your format for taking notes. So when this is being read out, you are preparing your format. So you are in your rough paper, you have your column, you have your passage. Now you know this is task number 3, right? So you know it is a passage and then a lecture, the concept, right? While all the, now you know what this is, what is going to be said. Nothing new for you. So you don't have to concentrate on that. You have to concentrate on this. Concept, point number 1, point number 2, explanation if given, explanation if given, right? Lecture, point number 1, example, explanation, point number 2, example. So when the passage comes up, you know exactly that this is the concept, you write down the concept. Then when it gives you the first example, you just write a couple of words for the first example, first explanation, or the first point. Couple of words for the second point, right? Okay, now let's see what this track is about. So maybe something like this comes up. Okay, so till this point, you know what will be coming up.
Ma'am,
Now
the
what?
track was not audible.
Oh, sorry, just a moment. Did I not share the? Just a moment, maybe I didn't share the sound.
Now read the passage from a psychology textbook. You have 45 seconds to read the passage. Begin reading now.
Okay. So now till here, you know what is coming up, right? So all the instructions, you will read a short passage, listen to the same topic. You will get 30 seconds to prepare your response. You will be speaking for 60 seconds. And then here from this part, what do you have to take down? Last part, when I played this. Okay, I'll replay it.
Now read the passage from a psychology textbook. You have 45 seconds to read the passage. Begin reading now.
Okay, so from here, what is the clue you get?
Psychology.
Psychology text. Yeah, so it is something to do with psychology. Okay, now we'll move on. Now notes, in this you took down your notes. Yeah, your notes format is ready. Okay, this is your passage. You can read the passage. You will get 45 seconds to read the passage. Take down your notes. Okay, done. So this topic, this was about behavior. So what was the topic? Behavior modification. Yeah. So individuals modify their behavior based on what they learn. So modify behavior based on what they learn about consequences of their actions. So just the keywords, if you got down, more than enough. So just the keyword is modify behavior, learn, possible consequences or just consequences of action. Individual learns through experience that a certain behavior results in pleasant consequences. That behavior is likely to be repeated. Unpleasant consequences, on the other hand, discourages further repetition of behavior, right? While behavior modification can be observed in experiments, it also occurs frequently in everyday settings when individuals change their behavior based on what they have learned about consequences of behavior. So this is just a summing up of the passage. So what do we have over here? We've got the topic. We've got point number 1, pleasant consequences. Point number 2, unpleasant consequences. Right? So what are we going to expect from the lecture? Anybody? What are we going to learn from the lecture? What do we expect? Is going to discuss the same topic of behavior modification. So maybe there could be examples of pleasant consequences and unpleasant consequences, right? Okay, let's move on.
Now listen to part of a lecture on the topic in a psychology class.
This happens all the time with kids in schools. Say there's a little boy or girl who's just starting school. Well, they're not really used to the rules about proper behavior for a classroom. So at the beginning, they might, I don't know, interrupt the teacher, walk around the classroom when they're supposed to be sitting down, just misbehaving in general. Okay, but what happens? Well, the teacher gets angry with them when they act this way. They might get punished. They have to sit at their desks when everyone else is allowed to go outside and play. And they certainly don't like that. Soon, they'll learn that this kind of behavior gets them in trouble. They'll also learn that when they raise their hand to talk to the teacher and sit quietly and pay attention during class, they're rewarded. The teacher tells them she's proud of them and maybe puts little happy face stickers on their homework. Now that their behavior gets a good reaction from the teacher, the kids learn to always act this way in class and not behave the way they used to.
Using the example from the lecture, explain what behavior modification is and how it works.
Okay, everyone got the points down? Yeah? Okay.
Now listen to part.
So your notes will come up over here. Yeah? So you will be looking at your notes. So what are the notes that you have taken down? Let me see now. So, sorry. So, Kesar, what is the topic that you took down?
Behavior modification.
Behavior modification. So, what was your first point over here?
Pleasant consequence.
Pleasant consequence. Right? Second point, pleasant consequence. What was the result of pleasant consequence?
Ma'am, I just wrote like tick of behavior.
Yeah, good. So
And
here,
unpleasant consequence and cross repetition.
they will not repeat, right? Okay. Now, Celeb, can you tell me the first point you took down from the lecture? You would have point number 1, point number 2, example. Sorry, Celeb, we cannot hear you. No, you're not audible. Okay, you just figure out your sound. We'll get back to you. Okay. Okay, Pari. What is the first point from the lecture?
Ma'am, I took down students' bad behavior equal to punishment. Ma'am, and
So it would be like school, beginning of school, bad behavior. What is the example of bad behavior?
They may not, I kind of missed it, but I heard the end of it, like they may not go to play or something.
So they would be, consequence of bad behavior would be punished.
Yes, punishment.
Right? So if they are punished, then what was the conclusion of this?
They wouldn't repeat it.
They wouldn't repeat. Yeah.
Then I wrote down if they raised hands, good behavior equal to good, equal to rewarded. And learned to act this way.
Okay. So now the thing is that you don't need to really have all your points written down. While you are framing your answer, maybe the other points come back to you. You will remember other points and you will be able to put them into your answer. Just the main points to frame your answer should be there.
Ma'am, good afternoon, ma'am. Sorry to disturb you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, all the cameras are off. I can't.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
They're having some problems. Charul, are you there? Manya? Varshini? No one is there. I will just shift you to your waiting room now.
Nihit, when did you join in? I think you...
Quite 10 minutes back.
Why so late?
Sorry?
Why so late?
Oh, I had some issues in my laptop, so that's...
You should start doing from 3 o'clock, na? If you know that you are having the issues in your PC or you're in a laptop. From next time, just be on time, okay?
Yeah.
Nate, have you been attending classes till now?
No.
This is your first time
Yeah,
in
this
the
is my
TOEFL class?
yeah.
So, had you registered for TOEFL in the beginning?
Yeah, I had.
You had. That's why I said I haven't got your name down because you haven't been there so far. So you are in the 11th or 12th?
Sorry.
You are in the 11th standard or 12th?
12th.
12th. So you plan to take your TOEFL this year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Maybe you have to manage the rest of it yourself. Anyway, let's see. Okay, Chinmay. Yeah. Okay, so Chinmay, now, did you get all the points down? Chinmay, we cannot hear you.
Ma'am, I got my
You got all your points. Okay, so after you've got all your points, what is the next step that you would be doing?
Ma'am, we'll follow the template and form an answer. That.
So what is the first thing you require? What is the structure of your answer?
First, we'll explain in short that what was explained in the passage. Then we'll give the example or the professor told.
Example number 1 to explain point number 1 of the passage.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
And then example number 2 to explain.
Okay. So now this is the question that you have. Using the example from the lecture, explain what behavior modification is and how it works. Right? So this is the question that would have been expected also from you. So what are you going to do? Example or examples, it should be, from the lecture, explain what behavior modification is. So you can, all of you can take 30 seconds to formulate your answer. Get the structure ready.
Charul is not there, I think.
Charul has moved out.
He's not talking also, no? Not giving answers. And Manya is also not there. Manya, why you're putting camera off every time? Charul, are you there?
I have network issues, that's why.
So it doesn't matter. You keep your camera on. You can listen with the camera on. If you have a problem with your audio and video together, then maybe you can excuse yourself when I'm asking you so that your voice is clear.
Charul,
otherwise, please keep your camera on. Charul, are you there?
Unmute and answer, dear. She is messaging. She is not able to hear on the micro and video.
Charul, are you able to hear and follow what we are saying? Okay, so now let's go. Everyone prepared with the answer? Right? Now remember, you have to be prepared in 30 seconds. Maybe first time I'll give you a little more time, but eventually you'll have to practice with 30 seconds. So now you know the format of the structure of your answer, right? And you will be using a template. So for the first time, this is a template in front of you. You can get an idea of what you want to say, right? Now you will get 60 seconds to speak. Anyone wants to volunteer to speak? Who wants to volunteer? Celeb, you want to volunteer? Okay. Is your audio fine? Yes, Celeb? Okay. Celeb, you may start now. Sorry, Celeb, you are not audible. Just check you if you have joined with your system audio or not. Okay, till that time, let's see who else can.
Can I try?
Yes, please. Who's this?
Sahas.
Sahas. Okay. Yes, Sahas, please go on.
The passage discusses about behavior modification and how consequences lead to behavior alteration. The professor uses the example of students to explain the topic behavior modification. Suppose there is a student misbehaving in class, for example, walking in class when not to, talking while teachers taking. This behavior eventually leads on putting bad impressions on teacher, and they might end up being punished. For example, forced to sit in class even when the break's on. This behavior leads to bad consequences. Therefore, the student certainly won't repeat it. In contrast, the students behave in class, example, raises hand when asking doubts, pays attention while teacher is teaching. This leads the student being embraced by the teachers. Thus, the students will repeat these actions so that they'll get rewarded each time. Therefore, she modifies
that's it.
behavior when he's aware of the consequences of behavior.
Okay. So you've taken about 6 seconds extra. Right? Now, when you are expanding, remember, you have to be clear of what you are saying. Now, you've got your examples, you've explained your examples, maybe it could be a little shorter, right? So you can, the last point when you are elaborating, it seemed like you are coming to a conclusion, but then you went on again. So make it concise. Your points should come across very, very clear. Now, a few things on your sentence structure, and while it happens sometimes that when we are speaking, we are thinking about the points too much and our sentence structure is not proper. Now, there were a few things when you said the first point, it seemed like the teacher is punished. Yeah. You said the teacher does this and they get punished. So instead of that, you should remember that whatever you are saying, there should be clarity in what you mean to say. Okay. Otherwise, first attempt, good enough. Okay. Anybody else who wants to try? No one? Who wants to try? Nihit? I think you know what the task is about now.
No, actually.
No, actually.
I think.
Okay, you just try to follow.
Hmm.
So it was now the question was you listened to the you listened. Did you read the passage or did you not read the passage?
No, I didn't.
Okay, you didn't read the passage. Okay, Ayan, can you give it a try?
Ma'am, actually, I couldn't read the passage. My net went off during that time, so I
Your net
missed
went
the
off
question.
during the time. Very difficult in online classes. Okay, you have your PDF or your book?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, open to task number TS3, question number 1. You can read the passage. TS3, question number 1, behavior modification. It's right there. So when you are, when you know you have a network problem, please have your PDF or textbook handy so that you don't miss out on reading whatever is coming up.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Okay. Who wants to answer? Nidini, do you want to answer? Or did you not follow everything?
No, ma'am, I did not follow everything. I got discouraged.
Yes, sir.
I can try.
Okay. Yes, you have to try.
The passage introduces the concept of behavior modification. It states
Hmm.
about two concepts, namely pleasant consequence and unpleasant consequence. The professor uses the example of a little boy who used to not follow the rules, interrupt the teachers, and misbehave in the class, which made teachers angry and was punished. This was the exam to explain the exam. To unpleasant behavior. Secondly, he also mentions about a quiet boy who used to follow each and everything a teacher asked him to do and behaved quite properly, and which led him to rewards and that. So this is how the professor describes about the behavior modification.
Okay. So, Kesar, do you think you missed out certain important points?
Yeah.
What did you miss out?
In second point, I missed about the good behavior, like what.
And anything about the concept you missed out?
Yeah, how pleasant consequence lead to repetition of behavior and.
Right. So a very important thing you missed out in the whole answer. You just talked about good behavior and bad behavior. But did you talk about the behavior modification as a result of it?
No.
Yeah. You talked about the behavior, you talked about the consequence. But did it explain the concept?
No.
No. So is your answer complete? So if you look at the checklist of whether your answer is proper or not, what are the different things that we spoke about?
Introduction.
Introduction.
Then
definition.
Example.
Did you speak enough? Did you have your points clear?
No.
Right? So your points are missing. So how much score do you expect for your response?
2 or 1.
2, right? Not 1. So half your answer is there, half of it is missing. Right? So first tell me, what are the notes you took down? Did you take down the notes properly?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
So can you give me a few points in your notes? Okay,
Like,
the first, what did you write on the concept?
Concept, behavior modification.
Okay, the explanation of the concept?
That pleasant consequence lead to a pleasant, like repetition of behavior, and unpleasant consequence lead to non-repetition.
Okay, so now when you were speaking, did you look at your notes?
Yeah, but starting I did.
So what do you learn?
Look at the notes.
Look at the notes. Remember, when you are speaking for TOEFL, you are just speaking into the mic. There's nobody in front of you.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody is looking at you. You have to focus on your speaking. You can look at your notes and speak. You have to speak loud and clear. That is the first rule. Second rule, you have to follow your notes so that you get your points through. You don't miss out on anything. You have to use a template. Did you use a template?
Yes.
More or less, not completely. Yeah. Did you have your structure?
I had it written, but I couldn't speak.
So more or less you had a structure. You talked about the topic. You talked about the first example, you talked about the second example. Now there's another thing you missed out on. Now a little details about the example. What you talked about a kid. Yeah. Was the kid trained? It was a first day in school, remember? So that makes a lot of difference. On the first day of school, what is the learning that the kid is getting? If he behaves badly, that is, he does not sit, if he walks about in the room or does not keep quiet and sit in one place, he gets punished and he gets into trouble that he doesn't like getting punished. And then what is the next step? He learns. So it has to go back to the concept, right? This is for everyone. So always remember, you have to, your task is to explain the concept with the help of the examples from the lecture. So you cannot leave it incomplete. Okay. Anybody else wants to give it a try before we move on to the next question?
Ma'am, can I give it a try?
Yes, please. Who's this?
Pari.
Pari, okay.
Yes,
yes, Pari.
The passage talks about behavior modification, which is the process where individuals change their behavior based on what they have experienced as consequences of it. If an individual's behavior results in a positive, pleasant consequence, he or she is likely to repeat it. An unpleasant consequence, on the other hand, discourages the behavior. The professor illustrates this by giving two examples. Suppose a student misbehaves in class by talking when they aren't supposed to. The teacher is likely to punish them by not letting them go out during breaks. On the contrary, if a student raises their hand before speaking, the teacher will reward the student and thus encourage this behavior. Therefore, these examples show that behavior modification occurs frequently in our daily life.
Okay. So did you get all the points properly? By now you should have got all the points clear and well arranged. Yeah. So
Yes,
more or
ma'am.
less you had all the points. Your introduction was also good. I think the only place where you could improve is when you are explaining the points, the connecting back to the passage and how it is explaining the particular concept could be a little more clear.
Okay, ma'am. I'll
Right?
work on this.
Yeah. Okay, so everyone now has an idea of how to go about this task number 3. Yeah. So any task number 3, you need a template. You need a structure for taking down your notes. So now, for those of you who missed the points in your notes, who missed the points in your notes? Sahas, did you have all the points in your notes?
Ma'am, the specifications I didn't have.
Specifications.
Punishment and
Hmm.
cause of punishment.
Yaksh, did you have points in your notes?
Yes, ma'am.
All of them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Chinmay, have you been able to fix your audio?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes, we can hear you now. Maybe the next task we do, you can respond. Celeb, have you been able to fix your audio? Not as yet. Sorry, you are not audible. Okay. Now, what is our next thing to do? We'll move on to our next question. So if you are not able to follow from here, it is question number 2 of TS3. Okay. So now I will read this out to you. Till that time, what do I expect you to do? Manya, what are you expected to
ma'am.
do while all the directions are being read out to you?
Ma'am, we have to take down the notes.
What will you take down if I say you will now read a short passage and listen to a talk on the same topic, etc., etc., etc.? What are you going to do? So you have to be very alert because you don't have even 1 second to spare. Yeah,
Yes.
in the test, you don't have even 1 second to spare. So what is the first thing you are doing in your rough when this is coming up? You are just putting down your structure, right?
Yes.
Reading from the listening part or from the lecture. Topic, point number 1, point number 2, point number 1, example, point number 2, example. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is what you have to be ready with. Otherwise, what will happen? You will start thinking, what did the lecturer say? Was it point number 1? Was it point number 2? You will be in a mess. So to organize yourself, first step, format for taking notes. Yeah. So your directions will be the same no matter what questions come up. You will now read a short passage, listen to a talk on the same topic. You will then be asked to ask a question about them. After you hear the question, give yourself 30 seconds to prepare your response. Then record yourself speaking for 60 seconds. Now read the passage about revealing coloration from a biology textbook. You will get 45 seconds to read, right? So from here, all you need is the topic. Okay. So you are ready with your notes format. Now we come to the reading part. So what are you going to do? Take down your notes. Got it down? So if you see in this, the structure of this is that the topic is revealing coloration. Use coloration to protect themselves from predators. Yeah. First explanation. How? It's a defense strategy known as revealing coloration. Animals employing this strategy have an area of bright color on some part of their body, usually hidden from predator's view. When approached by predator, animals suddenly reveals the area of bright color. Unexpected display startles or confuses the predator, provides would-be prey with an opportunity to escape. Yeah, so that's all you have. You have the topic and the explanation. In the explanation, do we have 2 points? So some hidden part of the body, 1, and how it works. Right? This is what we have. Okay, can we go on to the track then? Okay, everyone ready?
There's a large tropical insect called the peanut bug. Yes, like the peanuts that you eat. The peanut bug's front wings are colored so that they blend in with their surroundings. But its back wings, which are usually closed and hidden, have these bright, colorful spots on them. And when the peanut bug's attacked, it suddenly opens its back wings and out pop these big, bright colors. And that surprises the predator and gives the peanut bug a chance to get away. And then you have a butterfly called the morpho butterfly. And parts of the morpho butterfly's wings are very shiny. They reflect a lot of sunlight. When this butterfly is resting, the shiny part of its wings is hidden. Now, morpho butterflies are often attacked by birds, so when a bird approaches, the morpho flies away, and when the morpho flaps its wings, all the bird can see are flashes of light reflected from the morpho's wings. Those flashes of light make it very difficult for the bird to follow the morpho, and the morpho is usually able to get away. There's a large
Okay. So did you get the points from the lecture? Yes, Ayan, what were the points you got from the reading?
Ma'am, from reading, I got that revealing coloration is used to protect, and it is the bright part of the body which is hidden from predator. And when they're approached by the predator, it reveals their colors. This is unexpected and startles the predator, and it provides an opportunity to escape.
Okay. So what was the main point? Revealing coloration. What was the concept? Revealing coloration is a defense strategy.
Defense strategy.
Defense strategy. That is a key word you should have got. Okay. Okay. So let's see who else wants to. Okay, Nihit. Did you get the points from the lecture?
Yes, I could.
Okay, point number 1 from the lecture. Only point number 1.
Yeah, the peanut bug has a front wing and a back wing, which has the front wing has colored wings. Sorry, the back wing has colored wings, which shows a particular color. And once the predator comes, it shines its wings such that it gets a chance to escape.
Okay. Now, when you are you told me, do you recollect anything more?
No.
No. Anything? You said it has colored wings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the front wings are also colored according to the lecture.
I actually got confused between them because I wrote both of them as colored, so I thought like both of them are colored. But
so what is the difference between the two colors? There was one specific word. So so if you recollect, how does it start with? Anything on how does it start with?
No.
Bright colors. Right? Bright colored spots or bright colorful spots. So when it opens its wings, the bright colors startle the predator, surprise the predator, and the predator cannot follow. Okay? Oh, no, not follow is in the second one. The predator is startled and it gives the opportunity to escape maybe. Okay, let's see. Okay, Seller, would you be able to speak? No? Okay, Chinmay? Yes, Chinmay, you can unmute yourself.
Yes.
Okay, so what was the second point from the lecture?
Ma'am, the morpho butterfly has shiny wings, which are hidden while it is resting. But when a bird attacks it, it flies away, flashing light towards the bird, which helps it escape.
So what happens when there are flashes of light? What does it do? It reflects sunlight. Did you get that point? Yeah.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
what happens when it flashes?
It blocks bird's vision light, so it cannot easily follow.
It is difficult to follow. More or less, you got the points. Okay, now we come to the question. Let's see what the question is. The question is, using examples of the peanut bug and the morpho butterfly, explain the concept of revealing coloration. Right? So it is basically, you'll be using all the points you've got down. So you get 30 seconds to think of your structure and template before I ask you to speak. Okay, done. You should be just prepared with your points written down. Look at your points. You don't have to look up as long as your voice is loud and clear. Okay. So Nihit, can you give it a try? Your
Okay.
timer starts now.
Animals, coloration is a defense strategy used by most animals um, in order to
Go on. What is the purpose? Just look at the keywords and frame your sentences. Do you want to begin again?
yeah.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay, speak.
Coloration is a defense strategy used by most animals in order to get away from the predators. They have a bright color spot hidden to startle the predator, and which confuses it, and they can escape away. The peanut bug, which is one of the examples of it, has both wings colored on it, with the back wings specifically more brightly colored, which helps which when the predator approaches it 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 flashes its wings such that the peanut bug
Okay,
gets
you
away.
must stop
The
your time.
morpho
1 minute.
Yeah.
That's all you had for 1 minute. Okay.
Mhm.
So now you have to be able to plan your timing also. Right? As I said in the beginning, can somebody tell him what was the strategy? Manya, can you explain to Nihit what the timing strategy would be? How many seconds for introduction? How many seconds for the first point? How many seconds for the second point?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the strategy is that for introduction, we would have about 10 seconds. Then when we would introduce the first example, it can take us to 10 to 32 seconds. Then for the second example, we can take 33 to 55 seconds. And then for conclusion, 56 to 60 seconds.
If you have time.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Okay, so that is the timing. First 10 seconds for introduction. If you take more than 10 seconds for the introduction, you will have less time to explain the points from the lecture, right? So follow a timing pattern and practice with the timing. So, and then 20 seconds for the first point, 20 seconds for the second point. Yeah, 18 to 20 seconds. So in 18 seconds, if you're able to finish the points, you will get some time for the conclusion. Otherwise, conclusion is not required. Okay. Now, using the template is very important for those who are missing out on the template. Begin with the passages about, give the concept. Because when you are explaining, remember the questions, what is the question? Using examples of the peanut bug and the morpho butterfly, explain the concept of revealing coloration. And the task is about your stress on the lecture, because these examples are from the lecture. Yeah. So it should be clear what the passage is talking about, what the lecture is talking about. And that's where your templates are very important. The passage is about, it states that professor illustrates the concept by providing two examples. First example is of the peanut bug, when you give the details. In the second example of the morpho butterfly, you give the details of the morpho butterfly. That's it. Okay. Now, anyone would want to. So here, how now if you look at your structure of the answer, first you will be explaining what revealing coloration is, right? And mind you, it is not just coloration. It's revealing coloration, the concept. If you don't get the entire term correct, then also you will be losing marks on details from the passage and lecture, right? The important information. So revealing coloration is a defense strategy in which an animal surprises or confuses predators by suddenly revealing brightly colored parts of his body. As concise as possible. One sentence done with whatever concept you are going to explain from the passage. Yeah. You don't have to give every detail of the passage. What is it? It is a defense strategy. How does it work? Bright colored parts of the body to confuse predators. Those were the key words you had. You just put the keywords together to construct the sentence. Okay. Next, what are you doing? Two examples given by the professor to explain the concept. That's what you need. The peanut bug has bright color spots on its wings, which are hidden. When attacked, the bug suddenly opens the wings to reveal the bright colors. That's all. This surprises the predator and allows the bug to escape. So you have summarized the first point. Second point, the morpho butterfly uses revealing coloration. It has hidden shiny wings that reflect sunlight. When the butterfly flies to escape from attacking birds, it flaps its wings. And the butterfly's wings look like flashing light, which is difficult for the birds to follow. So more or less, what are you doing? You are paraphrasing the lecture. You're not, now when you are write down, you are not writing each and every word from the lecture. You are just writing the important words or the concepts. Then you are putting it into your sentences, connecting the dots. That's what you have to do. You just have to connect the dots, right? So that's more or less what your answer is. So anybody else wants to try? I want to see how you speak. So I won't keep this in front of you. Maybe you can just have a look at the template.
Okay, right?
Yes, Sahas, you can try.
Passage is about revealing coloration. The defensive strategy involving the use of coloration is known as revealing coloration. The professor elaborates on this by providing an example of two inserts. First, peanut bug front wings is just like an ordinary wing, but the back wing contains bright colors. When the bug gets the sense of being attacked, it flashes its bright color, which baffles the predator. Similarly, parts of morpho butterfly wings are shiny. When it's resting, its shiny parts is hidden. But when the bird is attacked, or when the butterfly is attacked, the butterfly reveals its shiny wings, confusing the predator. Hence, uses the revealing coloration technique to save itself from the predator.
Okay. Good enough. So did you miss out on any point? You are on time also, maybe at the 2 to 3 seconds extra. So one thing you have to remember is that if you don't, whatever you speak within the 60 seconds will be recorded. Rest of it will not be recorded. So if you go a little overboard, now that's why try to keep your answer when you are practicing with the timer. Try to keep your answer at least 2 seconds less than the time. So if it is 60 seconds, you finish your answer in 58 seconds, right? Because when the examiner is going to listen to your response, it will be an incomplete sentence at the end, right? Which doesn't sound good. You don't need a conclusion, but you have to be able to complete your point, right? So, Sahas, do you think you had all the points? Did you miss out on anything?
Maybe the specification of the topic. I just named the topic and started with the example.
You give a little bit about the topic. Maybe
Yeah, the
it
definition.
could be like specific. So the 3 specific points of the topic should have been there, right? Formulated into a properly constructed sentence, right? Okay. Anybody else wants to try?
Mom, can I give it a try?
Yes, please. Yes,
Mom,
you
can I
can try.
start?
Yes, just a moment. Yes, you may begin.
The passage introduces the concept of revealing coloration. It states that the strategy of animals to protect themselves from predators by revealing the bright colored parts of their bodies. The professor uses 2 examples to elaborate this concept. First off, he mentions about the peanut bug, which has front wings which camouflages in the environment, and its back wings have very bright colored spots. These back wings are usually closed but are revealed when it senses predators near it and helps it escape from them. Next, he mentions about the morpho butterfly, which has very shiny wings and reflects sunlight. As a bird approaches it, the butterfly flaps its wings and confuses the bird, which therefore the butterfly is able to evade capture. So this is how the professor describes about the topic revealing coloration.
Okay. Now, first of all, your answer was too long. Your 60 seconds got over when you began with your second example.
Okay.
Right? So if it was being recorded, if it was being recorded for the examiner in the final exam, your second point would not be there, right? So try to explain it in make it as concise as possible. So don't go into repetition. Another thing, very important, this is for everyone, the terms that you use. Now, when you are talking about examples, would an example be used to elaborate a concept? No. What is an example used for? You can say either to explain or illustrate, right? Not elaborate. Okay, so that's point number 2. And thirdly, now when coming to explaining the concept, you took about 15 seconds, which is 5 seconds more than what you should. Now coming to the first point, you elaborated too much. Now, elaborated too much doesn't mean that you got all the you just mentioned the points and details, you were repeating, right? So don't repeat. What you have to do now is take up the 2 tasks that we did, record, do it again. Write down the points, just say you start with it as if it's a new task for you, right? You have the tracks. Yeah, Nihit, do you have the study material? Have you downloaded it?
Yes, I have.
You have, okay. So you will find all the tracks also, the listening section tracks and then the speaking section tracks. And third will be the writing section tracks. So the speaking section tracks, when you refer to your printed material, the PDF or the book, you will find the numbers of the tracks. So if you look at revealing coloration, it is track number 6. Yeah. So you play track number 6, take down your notes, and then you follow, you have your timer on, follow your timer, right? 30 seconds to prepare means 30 seconds to prepare. 60 seconds to respond means you have to complete your answer in 58 seconds. Doesn't matter if you have 2 seconds extra left with you, right? But you should be able to complete your answer. Okay, so now this is 2 more, not just 2, it will be actually 3. So these 2 we did in class, you know how to do it. Now there is TS5, question number 2 is also there. This also you will practice. This is about VAC theory. Yeah. So these 3 tasks of these 3 questions of task number 3. Integrated task number 3 of speaking. And one thing, while you do, first thing you have to remind yourself, what is task number 3? What am I to do first? What am I to do second? What am I to do third? First thing, while you are listening to the instructions, what do? Nihit, what is the first thing you do? Format for notes. Second thing, take down your notes from reading, take down your notes from lecture. Thirdly, what was the third thing that you expected, Yaksh? What was the third thing? Remember your template, right?
Yes,
Number 4, structure your answer. If you go step by step, then you will never go wrong, right? You will have if you have a proper structured answer, maybe a few points are missing here and there, maybe there are some errors in your response, you will still get 3 or maybe 4, right? So remember, you have to get above 25 in your speaking. So that means at least 2 of the tasks you will have to get 4, 2 of them 3 will do. Yeah. So work on your strengths, and the more you practice, the fluenter you get. So the flow of the first time you speak, you get stuck. You don't know how to formulate your sentences. Second question you do, you are a little better. By the third and fourth questions you do, you are perfect. So first time you practice, record yourself. If you think it is not okay, do it again. Repeating the same task 3 times, you will be perfect in formulating your sentences. So when you are coming to a new task, you know how to formulate your sentences. So you are ready with a strategy of your own. Okay? So I think you will be able to do these 3. The task number, so TS5 question 2, you will record and send me. I will not discuss it in class. Right? Done? So now next class, we will be moving on to integrated speaking task 4. And last time also I told you I want your responses on my WhatsApp. I haven't received any till now. 5 minutes daily, that's all you need for the speaking tasks. And only practice will help you improve. Remember that. Nothing else, there's nothing to mug up. You cannot, even if you mug up the templates, you have to know how to implement it. Right? So that's all for today. Any doubts or any questions on this? Anybody with any doubts? Nihit?
No.
At least this task is clear with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And please go through the other tasks. And maybe we can get some extra time later on after we finished with the course, so that we can solve your doubts. Okay. Manya?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay then. So that's it for today. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Anushka ma'am.